All right, guys, I got another one for you guys today. I'm pretty excited to talk to you guys about this one. There's not been a lot of information out there on this particular topic. Very, very old topic. Something that I actually started out bass fishing with. So I have a lot of memories, a lot of history with this particular tip that I'm going to give you guys, or comparison. Not to mention the countless giant bass that have been caught on an old school jig and pig. And so today I want to make the comparison, but also dive into how to rig, how to set up an old school pork frog as a jig trailer, and then compare that to more of the new school, the more newer technique, which is of course a plastic trailer. I actually like them both. They have totally two different purposes and applications for me personally, and I want to walk you guys through it and share with you guys this particular tip or this particular technique. And it all starts right here. So right here in my hand, that's nothing new to everybody. That's just the old school Arky style flipping black and blue jig, okay? Now, what I'm gonna add to this bad boy today is this right here. That's the sauce, all right? So my younger crowd, as always, I make a lot of references, I pick at you guys, because a lot of you guys are just not aware of a pork frog. Very, very old school. I don't even know what year that came out. You guys let me know in the comments. What year did the pork trailer come out? I'm assuming this is the oldest brand, potentially. Uncle Josh, been around forever. When I started using a pork frog, this was my introduction, was an Uncle Josh. So you guys let me know in the comments. I don't know, there may be other brands that came out before Uncle Josh. This is where my memories tie. Before we jump into this, there's a few things you need, okay? You need a pair of good cutters, right? You need a piece of soft plastic, okay? My favorite piece of soft plastic used for this is my old beat up TRDs, or in some cases I gotta use a new one. You gotta sacrifice sometimes a new TRD, okay? And then I'm gonna show you guys why you need a piece of plastic, okay, when you attach a pork frog and the benefits that it has. So let's jump into this video. All right, guys, it's time to rig this bad boy. So the first step is we want to get our piece of plastic. Now, it doesn't have to be a TRD. I actually like to pick up leftover pieces of plastic that have been thrown in the bottom of the boat and use them for this particular application. Now, stick baits, in my opinion, work the best because of the roundness. They're very symmetrical, right? That works really good for using as more or less like a bait holder or keeper. It prevents the pork frog from flipping over. You guys will see what I'm saying. So here's my TRD. Let's get on it. Get that bad boy on this jig. Now this, it doesn't matter which side you put this on, because this actually will not be seen that much. It'll be covered up by the skirt. So look at that. That looks ugly, right? Of course. Remember I told you we're going to have some cutters. Let me show you what we're going to do with those cutters. We're going to come in with these cutters and we're going to cut this right at the hook, okay? Right at the hook. And I use my left hand. I'm not left-handed. Let's clean this up a little bit. There we go. And you'll see that stops right there as that hook turns. Right as that hook turns, we're going to stop that. Now, why do you put that on there, right? We put that on there so once we hook that pork frog, it sits right here at the very nose of it. I'm going to show you guys here in a second. And you want to prevent that from rolling over, because unlike soft plastic, that pork frog, if it rolls over and gets on this hook point, it will not penetrate through that pork frog into that fish's mouth. So let me go ahead and say that. So this is a very important step you guys don't want to skip. All right, now it's time to rig our pork frog. Let me pull it out, show you what we're working with here, what it looks like. The reason I like a pork frog is because it's literally a piece of pork. Now you can get these in all sorts of different colors. They come in different sizes. You don't have a ton of colors like in your soft plastics, but you got the basic necessities. So you're like your blues, blacks, your dark greens, and your browns. More or less all your crawfish colors. So this is what it looks like when it comes out. This right here is a number size 11. This is my favorite size, and I'm gonna show you guys how to rig it. So right here at the very tip top of this pork frog, they have punched a hole through that pork specifically for that hook point to go in. So let's take a look. It goes in just like this. You just kind of feel around, find it, and then boom, voila. You got that pork frog on there. Now this right here is a piece of art, a work of beauty, a big fish catching. And as you can see, I got my TRD nicely snugged up in there. So that pork frog, as it's being fished and skipped and cast all over the place, it's not gonna flip over and do this right here. This is what you don't want. You do not want that to flip over and hook onto that pork, or to that, to that hook point like that, because if you get bit, it will never go through that pork. Trust me, you'll lose them every single time. Very important step to not skip putting the stick bait on the shank of that hook. So that's it right there. That's the finished piece of equipment right there, the work of art, a jig, an old school tried and true big fish catcher right here. Trust me, I've caught a lot of big fish with this in recent years. I don't talk about this much. This is kind of something I keep to myself, but you know, a lot of big bass get caught. This is a cold water technique. So here it is, mid-fall, water temps are starting to cool off. For me, I like to use the pork frog when the water temp is lower than 56 degrees. That's just my personal preference. And the reason for that is the fish have a tendency to be more lethargic. Obviously, water temps are cooler, and that pork has a very subtle action. Unlike plastic, plastic has a lot of action, erratic action. The pork is a very subtle, natural action. And lethargic bass, for whatever reason, they just really like a pork frog. So winter's coming up. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of winter game, a little tip, something I like to do that might catch you a couple more fish, and that's go ahead and trying the pork frog. Now, we've all used plastic. I still throw a ton of plastic. For me, plastic's a 56 plus degree water temp solution for me. And there are times where I'll still use the pork frog, but as it gets hotter, these things are really, really hard to keep, you know, to take care of them. They're almost perishable. If they get really, really dry and get hard, it's done. It's over with. So I recall times when I was a kid in the summertime, we rolled around the lake with Tupperware with water, and we put all kind of fish attractant and stuff like that in the Tupperware just to keep these bad boys safe as we were running from one spot to the next. So like in the summer months, a 15-minute boat ride, this thing will be crispy like a piece of bacon, and it's no good. So make sure you guys are mindful of that. But here it is, man, an old school pork frog on a jig. I just cannot stress to you guys enough how many big fish you will catch poking this thing around. A good old pork frog, Uncle Josh, that's the one I like. Give it a try. I'm going fishing. All right, guys, so now we got the ever so popular plastic chunk, okay? And right off the giddy, if you take a look at that, it's kind of modeled, the look of it is very similar to a pork frog. And I think that's where the original idea stemmed from. A lot of different companies out there make a plastic chunk, but a plastic chunk is a very good choice as well. And let's dive into it. Much like the pork frog, it has a subtle action, but because it's plastic and it has some stretch to it, it has more of an erratic action. Some guys even like to use these as swim jig trailers. The upside to the plastic, if for whatever reason it does fold over the hook point, you get a bite, you set the hook, obviously hook point shoots right through the plastic, you catch that fish. But you don't obtain that soft, subtle action that you need when water temps are really low. So that's where the pork frog wins, right? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and remove this pork frog, and I'm gonna hook on this plastic chunk. I wanna show you guys something. When taking this off, you kinda wanna give it a twist, a little turn as you're pulling it off. Otherwise, it'll be a struggle. So make sure you get a little turn, pop it off. All right, plastic chunk. We're gonna pop this bad boy on. Notice something, very important as well, even with a plastic chunk. You wanna keep that soft plastic on the shank of the hook. Same concept. The last thing you want to do is make a perfect cast, a skip even, up under a dock. Then this rolls over and hooks onto the hook point, and now you got a wasted cast because that bait's looking very unnatural. You're not going to get bit. That's why this is so important, okay? You need to keep that bait from flipping over. But here's a soft plastic chunk. Again, very lifelike, very realistic. You're going to get far more action out of this. And so again, it's just another idea, another tool in the tackle box to pull out, but you have to be mindful of water temp and the conditions. And you will notice, trust me, these fish will, on finicky days, they will far prefer the pork than they will the soft plastic. Especially if you're two guys in a boat, you guys may be fishing the same, you know, both flipping jigs or both casting jigs. You'll notice that. I mean, he'll be getting more bites than you. So that's just something that I've picked up over the years that I really like. And again, I love them both. They both have their situations. But again, cold water, we're talking cold water, we're prepping for the winter. Go ahead and find you some pork frogs, okay? Put these bad boys on the back of a jig. You see that? Look at all that action. Put them on the back of a jig and crawl them around on some of your favorite holes. I promise you, you're gonna catch some giant bass because big fish love a jig. Just a quick tip, for you guys to check out. I appreciate you guys watching and all the comments and love and support the channel's gotten. I can't do it without you guys. So make sure you guys drop a comment, like, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next video. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for everything. Peace.